Status update, end of May 2026. First, I'm going to talk about the things that happened, then a little bit of the progress on the New Year resolutions, and then, as lately, the questions from, I think she was called Kitara or something like this. I forgot. You can check out, as always, the beginning of the playlist where the questions are laid out there. Just looked it up to do her justice. She's called Karima, by the way. Karima. That was her name. Karima. Karima's questions. And yeah. So first, with the things that happened since, let's say, February. Since the last status update. And basically, bloop. I moved houses. So that thing that I mentioned that was going to happen in a couple of weeks did happen. And yet now I have been like more or less 3 months or so in this house. End of this month, tomorrow, I think, a couple of days, is going to be technically like the 3rd month anniversary, the 3rd month anniversary. And yeah, I guess I'll talk more about that in like what's the environment question. But yeah, basically it's more or less fine. There are some things that are better and some things that are worse, and all in all more or less similar. I have almost finished all of the driving shifts. Basically, we had 40 shifts. This is 40 Schichten, and now I'm at the 37th one. And next week's okay, more tomorrow, Thursday and Friday. I have 38, 39, 40. Should be. Probably I'll do some more afterwards, but yeah, that's basically it. And yeah, that's some impressions from the shifts. We've had every kind of shift, basically the early morning, day shift, evening shift, and like night shift. Tomorrow, this week, I have evening shift, Spätschicht it's called here in Germany. Most of the ones that I've had are either early or night. Day shifts I've had way less, or also evening shifts. Most of these have been early, evening, and night. Day, a couple, only 2. I began with a classmate, Angel, and yeah, he's no longer with us, not because he died, but rather because he was kicked out. I think he's still here in Germany, but yeah, he got kicked out because of his diploma and so on. And from then onwards, which was like the 10th shift or something like this, I've been alone, basically, on my shifts. And yeah, I would say that personally I feel a little bit worse. I wrote that there. I don't know exactly why. But yeah, I guess outside of going on these shifts, which has been I would say like a decent change, it's like basically working, right? It's basically full-time work. So outside of that, I haven't done much else in my free time. I don't have like a lot to mention, and it's mostly like errands and maybe watching some YouTube and some things like this, but nothing like crazy, not some kind of crazy project or something that happened that was like mega relevant and so on. I guess I'll talk a little bit more about things that happened a little bit on those terms, maybe here in this next section, perhaps. Progress on New Year's resolutions. I actually literally haven't looked at my New Year's resolutions that I remember since probably like March or something like this, right? So it's actually like a decent reminder of how bad I've drifted from these resolutions. By the way, it's late. It's 3:20. I mean, tomorrow I have like a evening shift, but evening shift means that it starts at like 4 p.m. in this case and ends in the evening at like 9, at like midnight, past midnight, 12:49. And yeah, basically fitness related. Moved the houses, environment different, and in particular, I lost the gym. So that was, I guess, the biggest loss that I do feel like my quality of life has been reduced because of that, because I lost the gym. So I lost all the progress that I had made in fitness. On this New Year's, in this status update from February, I mentioned that I had improved a little bit on my gym progress. So in addition to this strength training that I was doing, I added back the cardio. And for these last couple of weeks of gym, I did do that, but now that's over. I tried ice skating actually also in this week, this couple of last weeks where I was in that building. I tried it once or twice, and then when I moved here, I tried it also once or twice. Starting from this house and going walk. I think walking from here to there, I did that once, and like using the bus, I did that twice, if I recall correctly, or maybe two and two. I don't know. But basically, I tried that skating and I did like it a lot. But outside of the season, which ended in like March 15th, I didn't buy roller skaters for the spring summer that I wanted. So I actually didn't do that, which was kind of a bummer. I actually haven't signed up for a gym, so I have lost all my strength progress probably. And I also didn't join the swimming pool that I was planning to join, that it's really close. But I didn't join for some reason. Like, it's kind of expensive. There's like a pass, but I'm not sure if it will work or not, and the pass has increased in price. I'm not sure if I would like actually rentabilize it. Also long hair, blah blah blah. I don't know. It's difficult. Maybe now in summer it feels like a better idea, but we'll see how it goes in winter. Also, not only winter, but like the rainy seasons. And yeah, so basically I lost the strength progress and I didn't add any cardio on top of that to compensate like I was kind of planning to. So that was like an utter failure on fitness terms in my New Year's resolutions. I should probably try to get back on track in some way, but I'm finding it kind of like hard to fit into my days and so on. Definitely a strength routine that's like consistent. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to find that, and a cardio routine on the days that I have free. Maybe I could try that. I could try to aim something like this, but I probably start by things that feel fun, like roller skates and so on. But we'll see. Then studying. I haven't hit any goals or whatever. I also haven't had any checkpoints, you could say. I haven't had any tests outside the LZB that I did pass kind of like without any problems. That was like a module in the middle of the shifts around April, if I recall correctly, and yeah, it was fine also. So yeah, we will have soon this Prüfungsvorbereitung. The next thing that's coming up are the exams. I didn't mention it earlier in things that happened, although I have it written, but those are the things that are coming up next. So I'll probably try to kind of like go harder when we kind of like get the dates of like our Prüfungsvorbereitung and so on. But yeah, I should probably like get going at least now. So like 2 weeks before the exam, or like 2 weeks before preparing the exam, to have things like a little bit chewed up before cramming these 2 previous weeks, I would say. German, I haven't done any of like those routines that I mentioned. I also haven't done like the vocal training routine that I planned to combine with German either. So yeah, I've watched a couple of movies in German on the cinema, so that's interesting. But it was like a couple of weeks ago, and it was like 2 movies, and it's not like then I did try to mine some vocabulary or something like this. No, I simply watched the movies, and the parts that I didn't understand, I guess I just didn't really understand them, and so on. I guess I now know some frustrations that I hadn't actually like pieced that well together because I hadn't encountered them in the real world or something. So yeah, I guess now I really feel in my in my veins, right? That listening and speaking are things that are really making me frustrated on the day to day. Speaking, for example, to the trainers, not being able to communicate, basically, not even to the level that I think, but also to communicate more effectively, to stumble upon words less, sorry, to stumble with words less, and to be able to find at least roundabout ways of explaining things that I want to explain, so and so on, even if I don't have the right vocabulary or things like this. So yeah, but yeah, I don't know how to go about tackling those things that I lack. For example, I'm not sure if I should pay some tutor, but then it feels like a waste of money. If I should try to use AI, but then it feels like I don't know, kind of like lonely and boring, that kind of things. I'm kind of like appearance. Laser, I did in April. I did go back to Spain and I did laser once there, but since then I haven't done the May laser. It should be like I think not beginning of April. It was like more a couple, almost mid-April. I don't know. It was like in days beginning mid-April, but I haven't done May in Germany. Should have been like a couple of weeks ago, I guess. And yeah, so I guess I'm still on my on this wave of like feeling blocked here in Germany, and yeah, also between the shifts and like not being able to plan far ahead and so on. It feels difficult to like be able to say, hey, I'm going to schedule for this day some laser, because also the laser people are like the ones that have free trials are like weird. I don't know. Maybe I should just pay up 70 euros and that's fucking it. Then regarding exploring, this is probably it was optional I think, but it's probably the only topic where I don't feel like I've done badly. I don't exactly remember the metrics, but I'm going by vibe. And yeah, I would say that yeah, I wrote that I'm not sure if I hit the targets because I don't really know the metrics, but I've have eaten at a couple of different places like Thai food. I've ordered up some food. I mean, I cannot really call the Thai food, but I've tried a couple of others. If I recall correctly, at least Vietnamese, one that I had already tried, which was new but with someone else, and a couple of those cravings that I've had, I've tried to resolve. And yeah, that's for me. That's always interesting. And I would say that I have done some side quests on my pauses when I had night shifts. When in the night shift you have like this long pause and it's sometimes in some weird faraway place. These last couple of weeks it has been like in Holzkirchen and Petershausen, so those towns are like pretty boring. But I still tried to explore a little bit the town during the night, and I did find out that they were boring. But it was like an interesting experience to walk around the town that I didn't know, so that's cool. And then the other 2 other days, it has been in Freising and in Tutzing, and those two places have lakes. Also, in Hersching, all those three places have lakes or bodies of water or like the river. So I don't know, going to a body of water, even if it's during the night, it feels interesting. So yeah, then I've also said yes to some things, like for example going to Prosecco, which is a gay club, and I've gone there with Na. I've written his name slash nickname there, Na, and yeah, it was a good experience to be honest. And I feel like kind of like I would say proud of having said yes, and not kind of like not push it out at the end, or like not put on some excuse like I don't know, blah blah blah. So yeah, I'm glad I accepted. Entrepreneurship, nothing solid. I have a couple of things planned. I maybe did like a first pre-draft of a couple of things, but yeah, nothing solid by any means. Then we can go to the questions, Karima's questions. So, how do I feel about my money situation right now? Not hyper bad. It doesn't feel like I'm saving a ton of money because I've spent some on these kind of gimmicks, these retro handheld devices, and there I have like one more coming soon. So, well, not soon. One more coming in actually a fucking long time. But yeah. So they are gimmick expenses, although I have been eyeing them out for a while and I have like I guess done my research and things like this. But still. How do I feel about the oh sorry. And I'm still not thinking about the new house because that was like an expense that was kind of taken off my mind. And because of the things that I mentioned, kind of a little bit I've hinted at already, and below I'm going to mention it more. I'm not mega worried even if I were to not find something. I feel like yeah, they'd lose out on me, and not that I would lose on this huge opportunity. You would say, you know. How do I feel about my job, employment situation, daily activities right now? I feel less motivated than before. I feel like what some trainers have been saying has been negative, and negative regarding me wanting to stay, you know. So either their attitude is negative and I wouldn't like to have them as like co-workers, or the things that they have said like, yeah, we're actually not looking for people right now. So that has me thinking like, oh, maybe they don't actually want me, right? They don't need me. So maybe it's like I'm not going to put as much effort, right? So I'm kind of like less motivated than before. And yet the mood that has stayed with me has kind of like been negative overall, even though the majority of trainers, most experiences have been either neutral or good. I have to say that I don't know, I kind of like did prefer more the formal learning phase than this practical hands-on, but with some trainer there always, and like through the whole shift. I don't know. I can find things that are interesting about that, and it has been an interesting experience, I will say. But my feelings after the experiences are not like top notch, I will say. Then on my free time, before talking about art or pastimes, my free time I feel really fragmented and I feel like I lack a lot of clarity towards it, and I feel like maybe the next answer will kind of make it clear. But yeah, it is something that does trouble me, right? In my free time, basically I either watch YouTube or read Twitter or something, or like go to the park, to the Ost Park, and journal or something like this, on which is usually like a sad moment because I'm journaling about frustrating things and so on. Or yeah, I stay here at the house feeling sad and lonely and so on. And maybe a couple of days I go out to eat with some classmates, or I go bike something different, or instead of like doing normal chores. How do I feel about the environment I live right now? So, I have moved houses and I still haven't made it fully mine. I have it pending for these 3 months, basically, for maybe 2 of those 3 months. The first month I bought the washing machine, and that was for me enough, but for that month. But then the next two, starting from the first one, I wanted to go to IKEA to get a couple of different furniture, to make my space a little bit more mine and to make it like a little bit more organized to, I guess, my purposes and so on. But I haven't done that yet. I haven't kind of like found the time, even though I have had like free Mondays and Tuesdays where it would be ideal, for example. But yeah, I haven't found like the time or the motivation or something to, I don't know, make this place mine, I guess. And yeah, I guess the building neighbors, aka my friends, AGJM, having them relatively close by when I interact that's cool. It's nice to be friendly with them, even though somebody, for example, they ask for favors and so on. I'm like, I don't know, they don't take up too much of my time, and I'm usually like pretty chill in that way and so on. So yeah, I don't know. It's like what I take versus what I get. Good enough, right? So the thing that does feel a little bit colder is like the co-workers, technical co-workers from the building, which is owned by the Deutsche Bahn and so on, or not owned but rented, and it does feel a little bit more judgmental in that sense. Like the encounters themselves that I've had haven't been bad, but they also feel like a little bit awkward and so on. There feels like there is a certain amount of recognition, for example, going to the U-Bahn and coming back, but I don't know. Then the people around here, they feel like too Eastern European for me, in a weird thuggish vibe. You know what I mean? So the way they dress with this kind of like Prada bag and like, yeah, not bag, rather like Bauchtasche, bomb bag, basically this bomb bag, and the style of like the Nike Tech tracksuit and the gold chains. That vibe, that weird little thuggish vibe, doesn't inspire me confidence, especially when I'm trying to like change my style to something a little bit more expressive or something like this. Then I don't know, it doesn't feel like super right. And for example, the hotel was like a little bit more hotel vibe, so a little bit it felt a little bit more anonymous. This here doesn't feel that way that much. It feels like there is more recognition, something like in those lines, right? Feels a little bit more neighborhoody. But I do have the Ostpark close by, so that's a thing that I have enjoyed and that I have actually used a lot, I guess, even though maybe not crazy for, like, for example, running every day or something like that, but going for little walks whenever I have some free time, writing on the banks, etc. That I have used. How do you feel about following your intuition recently? So, kind of the same as always, in the classic areas, bad. It doesn't feel like I'm emotionally safe ever, essentially. So I don't ever feel right or something like that. Doesn't feel like I'm pursuing what I have to pursue or things like this. I'm talking like emotionally, not career-wise here. I'm talking like, yeah, doesn't feel like I'm following what I feel deeply, really deeply that I should do. First of all, it doesn't ever actually like feel really, really deeply because there's always like some doubt. But yeah, I don't know. So yeah, I don't feel great about feeling my intuition, as always. But I will say that I'm growing a little bit more assertive, aka fed up, basically, like reaching points where I'm kind of like fed up. And that makes me like more assertive, you could say. So yeah, in general, I'm kind of like respectful. I try to be respectful about it, but when I'm fed up, I'm like respectfully fed up. So I can ignore bullshit that people say and yeah, completely make it disappear from my mind and from my preoccupations, you could say, instead of like getting more worried, blah 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 blah. It's like fuck it. Like if I have to forget about this, or like if this is something completely ignorable, even though I say yes, whatever you say, then I'm like ignore completely and forget about it, and like pretend it never existed. And I kind of like getting better at doing that a little bit, at like ignoring like contradictory advice, those kind of things, right? Then what really makes me happy? Small moments while driving trains do have a certain zen feeling, a certain sense of like, whoa, I'm actually really doing this, and this is pretty cool, right? Like this is actually a cool activity, or like I'm actually like, yeah, this is a weekend, but like fuck it, I don't have any friends here, I wouldn't do any activities here. So spending the day like driving a train on the weekend with this good weather and so on, if I was alone I would be like chilling on the station. Like this is actually a pretty fucking sweet deal, I would say. So there are like some moments like that. These small adventures, exploration while in train pauses, or like just going out and about and having dinner and so on alone, do feel nice. They feel like nice moments. Like, oh, I'm getting to discover this kind of like new place. It still feels like I'm in a new place, right? It doesn't feel obviously like my hometown in Spain. It's still a new place for me, even though it's the second place I've lived the most in, but it's still a new place. I also mentioned that I did really like figure skating. I hated how I looked doing it. I've seen video, like a couple of videos that I recorded for myself, and a couple of pictures that I took in the outfits that I had. And I hate how I look, obviously, but the feeling itself, it was like really freeing. The progression, there was like not a lot of progression, but there was like enough progression to make me feel like I wanted to do it more, and to make me feel like I want to continue this winter, even though I'm old and all that. I don't care. It feels like kind of like free. It feels like good. And same kind of like with dancing at the club this past couple of weeks ago or something. It did feel quite freeing to be in the dance club and like to let out at a couple of moments. The first time I let out to this kind of Dua Lipa song after sitting a little bit of like moving like that simply and with a drink, then like leaving the drink out and like giving it all. That felt like quite freeing and like quite finally, right? Like kind of like letting some kind of weight drop. And that those little moments, I guess, do make me happy, I will say. It's always like a bittersweet kind of happy. Like I've never actually like in all of these moments there's always like a sense of bittersweetness there. There's always, so that's why I don't know, when I read it back, this really part, it's like I don't, it's what fucks it over. It's what makes me actually what makes me take a lot of time to write these things, because I really have to try hard to be able to like isolate the happy part, but it always comes with some sad part afterwards. So yeah, that's, I guess, the not nice part and so on. There's always like some undertone of like, but this could be better some other way, or even though this small moment does make me happy, it's, I know it's like just so fleeting, or some kind of like sensation like this, right? Or like there is like this positive charge, but I know it's brought back by some other negative charge that is actually quite linked. For example, with the figure skating stuff, right? I like the feeling of it, but when I think of how I look doing it, I'm like, oh, this is ridiculous, right? And it brings it down. And or like same with the dancing at the club. If I'm like actually having fun dancing or whatever, then I remember kind of like how it probably looks from the outside, and I'm like, oh, and it brings me down again if I think about it. When I'm doing it, right, I'm not actually like thinking about it at all times, but I'm thinking about it at enough times that that it that it stays like that. Same with the moments driving trains. There are like a couple of moments when I'm like telling to myself, "Whoa, this is actually a pretty sweet deal," but then I listen to the trainer and it's like some random fucking dude saying some bullshit, or yeah, or it's actually a nice trainer. I've had a nice day, but then I fuck up and I do something wrong, and I'm like, or then it's like this moment is like nice, but then I've had to telephone someone and I don't understand. And there's like some misunderstanding or something. There's always like something waiting for you right at the corner to fuck you up. And yeah, on like or like these small adventures and explorations, it's like, ooh, it's in the night, I'm exploring this, and I'm like, but this would be better to do in the day, right? Like doing it in the night when you have to is actually kind of interesting by itself, but also you always get the sensation of like that But this would be way better to do at day, right? So I'm not really like exploring anything. I'm not getting to know anything relevant. It's all just like hidden and things like that. I don't know. Who really makes me happy? I guess here, in contrast to before, the moments when I see my classmates are actually now really pleasant, and they're really pleasant surprises, right? When I get to hang out with someone, or even when someone asks me to, it's always usually like a couple, two people who ask me to wash their clothes, and almost always one, because the other one, he hasn't asked lately in a long time. And yeah, they're now pleasant surprises. When I find them when they ask me for this clothes thing, then it's a little bit annoying, but then the actual conversation and like catching up and so on is like always really pleasant, and catching up with any of the other classmates is also always like a nice, interesting, 85% nice conversation, something like this, right? And or like some interesting catching up, or like some, I guess, balancing of expectations and so on, or like seeing where everybody's at, and that's interesting. Versus when we saw each other all the time, where it was like more a little bit the tensions caused by day-to-day friction. Now it's a little bit more like healthier, in my opinion. I like that more. The dynamics, I feel like I like this one more. And yeah, with this person with whom I went dancing, I've met a couple of times, and yeah, it was nice both times. So I guess hanging out with the kind of person where it feels a little bit safe to talk to about certain things, or to express myself a certain way, even if I will still feel weird about some aspects of the personality, or about the topics that we talk about all the time and so on, or where I feel like I still can't bring myself to say everything I would want to say, or those things. It's still it's still like a nice change of pace, and yeah. But it's still here. It still does feel like I don't have a social fabric, right? Like I'm not part of any kind of community, or things like that. Like there's nothing really tying me here, right? Not the culture. I'm not like obsessed over this culture. I don't have like a root here. Like I haven't established roots like some other people maybe feel like they have. For example, by having a girlfriend here who has house, and who have gone in like some kind of dates together with some other couples and so on. For example, I don't have that. So not that I worked hard to build it, by the way. I'm just explaining the situation. And yeah, with my friends from Spain, this one who's in the Philippines right now, he actually does the most work, and he does actually like regularly say, kind of like every day basically, he has free, something like, hey, do you guys want to hop on Discord for a quick call? And it's always like a quick call, like 10-20 minutes, so it doesn't feel like deep enough to talk about everything. But sometimes it is like a longer talk, and because it's like earlier in his morning, you could say, or like earlier in my morning, and it's like his afternoon, something like that. So we can talk a little bit more, and yeah, to me it still feels like just like a little catch up, and like I still don't never have anything to say really. But I mean, kind of like feels kind of weird to say that in a video when I'm 33 minutes deep into it. But yeah, I guess this is like a 3 month update, so I have like a little bit more to compress, you could say. And then, how's my health? Physically, I mean, I don't have any crazy symptoms of what I'm going to say, but I have exercised way less, and I have been eating a little bit worse, like a little bit more sweets, more fats, more things like this, more like processed stuff. I have been eating, like, I mean, in the day to day, it's pretty normal. And like when I talk about processed stuff, I am also not talking about like burgers. Well, not burgers, but kind of like burgers. I do have actually some processed burger yet in the fridge. But yeah, I guess I'm talking like small processed stuff, like ham, like this cooked ham, or like cooked chicken, that comes like pre-cooked in like these small slices for sandwiches, and that I have that. I'm eating that a lot lately, which I guess is pretty salty. It has like high sodium, perhaps. I don't know. Those kind of things I've been using lately more. Oops, I'm going to do something. And yeah, even though I'm eating kind of worse, I'm still not eating like mega bad, and I'm not like, I don't know, I'm not eating like all day processed foods and like like ultra processed, and eating all day single ingredient things. No, like I still cook a little bit, and like even my struggle meals are kind of like, I don't know, still a little bit elaborate, right? And I try to bring a little bit of variety or color and so on. But there has been a decrease, and also I'm like less proud of it. I put like less love into it, I guess. Also, I don't take pictures when I've made a meal like I used to do on the other studio, where I guess a little bit more proud of it. But now a little bit less. I do notice, I guess, a little bit that I've lost some kind of like physical tone or like stamina. So, for example, when I'm walking or like when I'm running a little bit, I kind of like, I feel like I've lost a little bit. But yeah, nothing crazy, I guess. So, even if I were to have not gained weight, even if I turn out to like weigh the same, I still would feel like I'm a little bit worse because I have lost this kind of like physical tone. And now when I'm kind of like doing a little bit more effort, physical effort, I feel like I get tired a little bit more easily. And yeah, mentally definitely worse. I've written worse probably too there. But yeah, I guess I'm definitely feeling like more sad, more lonely, like more with more. I feel like the mental breakdowns are more regular. I don't know. I don't take note or something like this, but I feel like not regular, like more frequent. Yeah, but I feel like I feel really bad more often, I would say. Not sure if because of being more lonely, hanging out less with the people, feeling, or because of the feeling less optimistic about the future, or like having seen the price. That what is what I was talking about with some colleagues, that the price now, I've seen what the price looks like, and the price doesn't look that great, basically. So yeah, that may be part of it, and that ties, I guess, into everything, right? If the price, aka the job that is technically paying for everything, doesn't look that appetizing now, everything else crumbles down with it, and everything else, even though I haven't actually built it yet. But yeah, kind of like the plans to have this safety net are kind of like crumbling down, so I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, or like, yeah, I don't have any plan B, right? I'm still going to run with this till they kick me the fuck out. But yeah, now it feels like maybe it will reach that point, even though I hadn't thought it possible before. So yeah, that's a little bit less unrelated to mental health actually, but because the main consumer of my mental health is probably other things, but yeah. And yeah, that was status update end of May 2026. Thank you for watching. If you reached till the end, I doubt it. Anyone has. I don't think these videos get more than like literally 5 views, and I think not a single view reaches the end. Maybe my dad, but yeah. Thank you for watching if that's the case, and goodbye.